operating. So
Yes.
you're already on
Yeah.
spotlight. Brother and
Okay.
sisters, welcome to lesson 3 of Life After Death. Today, the focus will be on the POA practice. So we'll begin the lesson without further delay. So Khenpo, we invite you to begin your lesson. Thank you so much. Good morning, good evening, everybody. People who are in South Africa and America, good morning. And people who are in Asia and also in Europe, good afternoon and good evening. So today now our topic is on the FOA, the transference, the transferring our mind. So before we listen to the talk and teaching, one should generate the bodhicitta, the mind, with listening to this teaching. May all sentient beings benefit from this teaching. Brother Lim, you can translate it. Okay. So now before we enter into the teaching, we already had 12 links of dependent origination, which is the most basic for the FOA. And we had the Bardo teachings, which is also related to the FOA. And the reason why we have Bardo and 12 links of dependent origination is that because it deals with the life after death, life and death, how one get the next life, and how the next life linked with our present life, and how the past, present, and future life were connected to each other.
那在我们今天的课开始之前呢，我们上2节课呢已经有谈过12因缘法，还有缘起法，还有中阴的教法。那这些都是跟破瓦有关。为什么会这样子说呢？因为它是跟生死有关，它让我们了解过去世、现世跟未来世生生轮回轮转的过程是如何的。
So as we move further for the teachings, for the transference of our mind. So first and foremost is the question that arises that
de aquí pueden surgir algunas preguntas.
Transfer our mind. So that's the basic fundamental questions. And according to the Vajrayana teachings, that everything is possible. Why? Because everything is emptiness. on the ground of emptiness, everything is possible. So the emptiness itself is the foundation for the possibility of everything. When you talk about the transference of our mind, it also shows the potentiality of our mind. So when we talk about the potentiality of our mind, the human mind is of utmost potential, because we could listen to the teaching from the masters and gurus, and also we can implement and we can reach the highest of the highest, that is to the level of the enlightened one. So therefore, the human potential is immense. So then when we talk about the human potentiality, the power of our human mind is of immense. And when we talk about the transference, and when is the time to transfer our mind, and to where and how we do this, is that the time durations, or the point of the moment where we can do the transference, is like when we were about to die. Yeah. So like when we are about to die, the split second, that is like when all the dissolutions takes place, the earth dissolves into the water, water into the fire, and fire into the green energy, and so on and so forth. That is the dissolutions of the outer energy, outer substance. Then when our outer energy, outer senses will stop, cease to function, but still the inner senses are still alive, still intact. So that is the time duration we can perform the transference. That is when you're doing transference forward to the other people. So then if we are doing forward to ourselves, then during the time of process of dissolution takes place, that is when the outer senses keeps on shutting down. From that onwards itself is the time to perform the forward, the practice.
候呢，那是我们自己为自己做破法的最佳时间。
So now when we do the forward, so what are the visualized object and how one can visualize and how to proceed through? Then it's stated in the text that one should visualize oneself as the Vajravarahi, and one should also visualize the channel, that's the center channel. And on the heart chakra, on the 4 lotus petal, our mind, our consciousness in the form of the pea size, bumping on it. And when the lineage guru prayers were chanted and comes down, then we reach to the point that the masters instruct you the hik. He counts to the 7 hik, 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 hik. So when he counted for the hik, then one should visualize that one's own mind, the consciousness, which is in the form of the pea size at the heart chakra, bump it and try to bounce upwards up to our head.
那我们做破瓦法的时候呢，如何观修自身？如何观修？那首先呢，我们观自己为金刚亥母啊，然后自身身体内呢有中脉，这中脉呢当中心间有朵4瓣的莲花，在莲花中间呢有一个如豆般大的明点，这明点呢在花上跳跃着，活跃的跳跃着。然后接着我们会念诵传承的祈请文，祈祷上师们加持。当上师念到 "hik" 这个字呢的时候呢，我们就观想这个明点呢往上飞跃，飞到自己的头顶。
So then when our minds keeps on bumping one after the another, and it goes up and up, in jumping towards the crown of our head, jumping towards the crown of the head. Then at the crown of our head is the Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, with his feet on our head, on the crown of our head, stopping our mind or consciousness to go out from from getting out from our body. So this is how one should practice bumping up. And whenever the master says Ka, then all the mind comes down again, our mind comes down and stays still, bumping on our heart chakra.
那当我们投射这个明点上我们的头尖的时候呢，在我们这个头上呢，我们要观想阿弥陀佛在我们的头上，那它阻止我们的那个心事呢离开我们的自身，而当上师念到嘎的时候呢，就要观想这个心事呢明点呢又回到心间的莲花上。
So Then, for example, like, when the master says, hik, hik, and it goes up to 7 times, then it goes up, and in the end, it touches to the feet of the Buddha Amitabha at the crown of our head. Then it comes down when the master says ka. Then it goes on, keep practicing like this. This is for the normal person like us who try to practice. And we should visualize ourselves in the form of Vajravarahi. We have a picture there. You can see that if you haven't seen the pictures, we have shared in the Facebook, the pictures, how we can visualize ourselves in the form of Vajravarahi, and how to visualize the center channel and our consciousness in the form of peace at the heart chakra, on the 4-petaled lotus. Then at the crown of our us is the Buddha Amitabha.
这是观想部分的动画。大家先看一下先，我会继续翻译。那在这观想的动画助缘里面呢，我们看到，当上师我们自身念或上师念 hik 的时候呢，这个念诵呢会念7遍，然后我们要逐渐的把心事传到头顶，触摸阿弥陀佛的2个大拇指大脚趾，然后在当上师念 God 的时候呢，回降到自己心间然后这是我们平时修破法的一个过程。
So now everybody has this idea. And also now the question arises, when you visualize, it's just a concept. And people think that, how is that possible to have this one? When you just visualize it, and is it possible to have the reality there? So now the answer is, visualizations is very important. This idea with the visualizations of the how to practice can lead to the reality. For example, if you want to build a big house or building, 100-story building, we have to have first the diagram, the architectural design. And on the base of this architectural design, then one could be able to build the house that's 100-story building. Without this architectural design or engineer, we couldn't build that. In the same way, by visualizing Vajravarahi as ourselves, and on the crown of our head, Amitabha Buddha, and all the channels, and practice this one, this is how it can lead us to that ultimate practice.
心事的明点，还有阿弥陀佛，这些种种都观想清楚，那到最终的时候需要的时候呢，它自然会成就。
So we never know when we are going to die and how we are going to die. And here is a kind of preparation we are doing that. And when we visualize this, when we are about to die, this is how we are going to visualize. Chant the prayers, the lineage guru prayers, and so on. And one should visualize oneself like this and go on. The reason why is that during the time of death, what happens is when all the senses shuts down, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, all this shut down. Then only the senses is the mind senses there. When it decreases down to a mind sense, our mind becomes so powerful. When you exit from the mind body, when our mind or our consciousness exit from the body, then that time our mind becomes so powerful. It could able to reach anywhere in a second, in a millisecond, because it doesn't have the body. So nothing can obstruct. It can reach anywhere, everywhere, just by thinking of it. So therefore, the visualization is very important. And also the visualization for Amitabha Buddha is very important. So then that time, what happened is at the conscious level, when you think about the Amitabha Buddha, you go to the Amitabha Buddha. Because your mind is so powerful, that time you don't have body, and whatever you think, you go there. So therefore, we have to familiarize with this kind of practice. And when you pray, and if you wish to go there, wherever you wish, you go there. But due to our imprint of our mind, that is the residual impact, we couldn't able to remember all these things. Then whatever the karmic residue we have accumulated in our mind stream takes over. So therefore, during our lifetime, we should do the positive thing more often and try to familiarize with all this kind of practice.
So that is the opportunity that we should not miss. That's the point of moment where we can transfer our mind. When you do this one, at that moment, what happened with the awareness, with the awakened mind? If you are very aware and awakened at the right moment of time, if you visualize all these things, and if you do the prayers and practice this one, then there's no question that one's mind will miss it. Because that time our mind becomes so powerful. And the learning the four is not to miss that opportunity. We should use that opportunity. And then from there, we can able to transfer our mind towards the Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. Then from there, receive the teachings from the Amitabha Buddha, and from there one can able to enlighten. So enlighten is the core purpose. Without enlightenment, you aren't able to make yourself free from the suffering, free from cyclical existence. So from there, you receive the teachings and then you enlightened. That is the end of the suffering or the samsara.
良机，那我们要持这一颗觉悟的心、警觉心啊。当我们做这个观修、祈祷若是我们有这样子的观修、祈祷修行的话，平日有这样子做的话呢，当我们在这紧要关头的时候呢，我们只要略了想起呢，这我们的心，因为在此刻非常具有力量它很快的呢就能把我们带到净土。那在净土当中，也不是说我们没做什么，我们继续接受教法，我们还没有证悟，我们还要继续聆听听闻教法，但我们就可以很容易不在轮回的情况之下呢渐渐的迈向证悟的道路。没有听闻教法的话呢，我们不可能证悟也就是说就会一直轮回在六道当中。
And it is stated in the text, we have to shut down the other 9 holes, and we should open the one hole from the crown of our head. That is, other holes are 2 eyes, 2 ears, nose, mouth, and at the navel and the secret place. All this has to be shut down. All this has to be closed, shut, and open up the one single hole that is from the crown of our head. So this is for how you can do the transference or for the people, for oneself, how we can do for oneself. And somehow if we skip this one, this forward, the time duration, the moment, the point of the moment that we miss it. Then also, like during the time of the Bado, one could visualize oneself as kind of the deities, and then one could able to transcend one's own like state of birth and so on and so forth, and go on, and this is how one could able to proceed further for the life after death. But in order to do this, one should have to have an awareness, so that we have to practice. One should practice before in hand, before we die. Otherwise, during the time of death, then what happens is we become ignorant. We don't know. Then we miss out the whole opportunity. This is how it goes on. So then, even if we miss during the time of battle, then also like at that time, one should have a different kind of appearances. Like we have feelings, that different kind of feelings that sometimes we have during the battle, we might have a feeling of entering into the tree, entering into the cave or something like that. This means it is a sign for that you are going to take rebirth in some lower states. So that time, if we realized, or if you are aware of that, then one can divert one's own journey towards the higher lane or higher state by practicing and visualizing the four practice also.
或是我们此刻当中呢，因为有听闻过中英的教法，我们这想起这个破瓦法，得到某个程度的好处。
And also there is a other forward, that is you perform the forward for other person. That is only possible when you are master of your mind and master of the forward. So like you could able to perform, you could able to draw, scan, and you can able to get back the person's mind, person who has died. And also that the point of the moment, the point of that time for the
performing the four is that outer senses were shut down, but inner senses still active. That time, that is the most like conducive time, or that's the right time to perform the four for the person who is dying, by ourselves.
那我们这里就提到如何为他人做破瓦法，但这有一些条件，那就是说我们自身呢已经掌握好我们自身的心事，唯有这样子我们才能为他人做破瓦法。那若是已经掌握好自己的心事，而且自己有具足扫描他人的心事的时候呢，这便代表我们具足了这方面的能力，那是能为他人做破瓦法。所以重复一下，这个时间为他人做破瓦法的时刻是在哪一个时刻呢？是当外在的五大都开始消融的时候呢，内在的心事还依然在的时候呢，此时是做破瓦法最佳的时刻。
And in order to perform for practice for other, it requires a lot of experience, a lot of great amount of experience and awareness and accomplishment. Only the masters, great yogi, could able to perform that, like Milarepa and like Drupa Kinley and so on and so forth. These kind of masters could able to perform this one. And also when they perform, they could able to scan away the whole universe and bring back the mind of that person, instruct here, right now, and they can transfer, which is not possible for an ordinary person like us. It's not possible. This is not possible to do, perform, transfer such person. But for the highly realized person, they could be able to do that.
那为了要帮他人做破瓦法的话呢，自身我们必须要有许多经验，我们必须要有一种警觉然后我们有成就呢，灵修方面的成就呢，要达到一个相当高的层次。比如说米拉日巴尊者和其他多位的历代祖师，他们都有这方面的能力。在片刻当中呢，他们能扫描整个宇宙，寻找那一颗心事，然后把那颗心事呢带到跟前，引导心事到好的地方这是他们所能做的。那我们普通凡人呢在这方面还需要多加努力。
So even if you couldn't do for other, perform the transference for others, but we can do for ourselves. So we have an opportunity, we can learn the visualizations, we can practice how to visualize and how to practice this forward, and one can transcend oneself from this ordinary body to the exalted Amitabha Buddha in the form of Amitabha Buddha, and this is how one can transcend oneself.
虽然说我们为他人做破瓦法可能有一些麻烦可能在现阶段呢做不到，但我们自身还是可以为自身做破瓦法。破的时候呢，我们观想具有 极大加持力的阿弥陀佛，无碍的加持，所以这样子的情况之下呢，他能带领我们到西方极乐世界。
And also, when we talk about the forward and transference of mind and consciousness, there comes a question: how is that possible? That one person could able to perform and try to bring back the person's mind and give the instructions and transfer the mind. And it stated that actually our mind is already connected with the whole universe, intertwined, interlinked with the whole universe. So therefore, the great persons, great masters, and great yogis, they could able to draw back the person's mind from the universe, wherever they are, from the, all these suffering states, then give instructions, and that's how one could able to transcend from the lower state to the upper state, up to such certain extent that one could able to receive teachings and slowly practice and get enlightenment.
这千世呢是到底是什么回事呢？为什么可以做这件事呢？那如何能说把他人的心事呢带到跟前，给予指导，引导他到较好的六道当中，或者是出六道，然后继续修，直到在密续当中有提到，其实所有的心呢都互相连接在一起，这是如网一般连接在一起。那所以具德的上师呢，能把这些心呢，无论是在世界宇宙的哪一个角落呢，他都能把它引到跟前，脱离痛指导，至少能引导心事呢往道上，使到他能有更好的条件修行，直到证悟佛果。
And see, now when we talk about all this forward and transference, we are talking about one of the highest level of teachings and talk. Teachings in the sense we are talking about the life beyond the death. And it's only the person who could talk life after death is the one who is all-knowing or enlightened person, or Buddha could only do that. And we have this technique. And we are so fortunate that we have this technique, and the technique is still intact, still use it, and it's still going on, and it benefits many sentient beings.
那说到这个千世的法门呢，它其实是一个最高的教法。为什么说它是这极高的教法呢？因为它提到的是我们死亡过后的生命是如何的那唯有那些已经证悟具德的上师们呢，或他们才能做到这一点。那我们很幸运的呢，我们知道这个法门，我能接触到这个法门。这个法门呢，至今依然被受用，而且利益许多众生。
So therefore, sometimes people feel that it is the highest form of practice, and it requires the highest degree of
alertness, awareness, and precision to see carefully our mind. So it is not possible for an ordinary person like us. But it is not the truth. We can practice it, we can do that. And it is possible. It is possible for all human beings who have a mind to understand what the instruction is. And if we have a time to practice, then no question that everybody can do that. Everybody can be able to achieve that. And the possibility is there for everybody.
那有些人呢会觉得，哦，这修法是个高的法门，那可能需要极高的警觉才能寻获我们这颗心。但其实不然，我们可以修行，我们可以明白的，我们能了悟这颗心，我们能证悟，我们能达到这个目的，这是肯定有这个可能的。
And also it shows that how the human conscious, the potentiality of the human conscious could be extended, and potentiality of the human mind can go up to that extent, up to the enlightenment, even after death. So it proves that we have an enormous potentiality.
这证明了我们这个人的心事呢，它有极大的伸缩性，它能延展延伸。而我们这心事呢，它的潜能非常有巨大的潜能。
Yes. So therefore, we should not miss these teachings and practice.
所以我们不应该错失这种教法跟修行。
And also, whenever we have a time, we should go on.
Bất cứ khi nào mà chúng ta có thời gian, chúng ta có thể dành thời gian để mà thực hành.
How the process of death is going on. For example, in the text, it is stated that the earth energy dissolves into the water, then water into the fire, fire into the air, and air into the space, and then consciousness, and so on and so forth. That is the outer dissolutions, and also the inner dissolutions. There takes place like three kind of appearances. Then after that, it comes like the luminosity, and so on and so forth. So this all how it happens. When you be nearby the person, the dead person, you can feel that. You can feel that how the process takes place.
.这里提到说，我们若是有时间的话呢，可以去观察一个死的人。那我们可以观察到这个死亡的过程是如何。他当然我们有提到之前提到的五大消融，地大融入水，水大融入火，火大融入风大，然后风大又再融入空大，这是外在五大元素的消融。这阶段过后呢，就是心事离开，然后也就是说内在的 感官消融。那内在的感官消融的时候之后呢，就会出现明光。当内在消融的时候呢，我们会见到3个景象之后呢，就会是明光的显现，五子明光的显现然后所以说我们若是有时间的话呢，可以到去观察一个死的人，那你能感觉到这个过程是如何的。
And also, when we talk about the death, people get scared of death. And also, therefore, they don't want to listen and they don't want to talk about the death. But the death is the reality that you can't escape. And here, when we talk, it's a reality that you can't escape. When the reality comes, you have to face it. And what we are going to do is right now, when we talk about the death, and when we talk about the transference or the forward, we are trying to find the solutions. In the near future, these are the things to come, follow up, and how to face it. And in the Buddhism, we talks about not only to avoid the problem, but also solve the problem, and also to face the problem. So here, some problems you cannot avoid it. Some problems you have to face it. And the death is also one of the problems that we have to face it. And for this one, in Buddhism, the death is not the problem. It is a solutions. Then the solution is within the problem there. And this is how we have to study the death. We have to learn about the death and learn how to face the death.
那当我们提到死亡跟破瓦的时候呢，有一些人可能不愿谈这些，不觉得舒服。但其实死亡是不可免的，不可能避免的一个事实。我们毕竟有一天需要面临这个死亡的事。所以当时呢，到那一刻的时候呢，我们必须，如果这个破瓦法的话呢，当然是最好。对于一个佛教徒来说，死亡，有些事情来说，我们可以不听闻。那有一些事情呢，我们则是必须面对的。那死亡便是我们必须面对的一种问题。但对佛教徒来说，死亡也可以变成是一个机缘脱离六道的一种机缘。那若要把它转为机缘的话呢，我们必须在此生当中呢，听闻跟修，那才是能把死亡呢转成是一种机会。
So therefore, we have the highest knowledge. That's the wisdom that we have transcended or passed down to us from the master towards master. And until now, we have these, and we have a living lineage practicing this one. So we are so fortunate that.
那我们现在所接受的呢，是最高的教法，最高的一种知识一种智慧。这智慧呢，是从代代相传中传到我们这一世当中。那而且是还在不息的在传当中，还在活跃着，所以我们非常幸运能听闻这个教法。
So then as you go on practicing the four, so usually we read out the lineage prayers, lineage guru. Here it shows that all these masters has been enlightened, and this teaching has been passed down through all these masters. That means it is true. It is a living tradition that still exists and goes on, and it is helpful. And as we talked about it, it is not just a blind faith. It is with the reason. It is with the scientific reason, with the logic, reasoning, and understanding of life after death, by proof, by all these masters, the great masters, and come down up to us. So it proves that it has a living traditions still existing on earth. And it also proves that it is not just the blind faith. It is not just the faith. Usually faith sometimes it's possible that it is a blind faith, but we need investigation. We need to investigate. We need to see whether it is really there, it really exists, or it's possible or not. So here, with this living tradition masters, it is proof that it happens and it's possible that through this path, through this sadhana, and through this practice, one could able to transcend from very ordinary state to the higher state, and ultimately to the Buddhahood. So then it is stated that we have blessings from all these gurus up to now. and the aspirational prayers that all this master has made and continued up to now. And whoever in the near future meets with this sadhana or practice, he, she may attain the Buddhahood, practice this and get the blessings from these teachings. So therefore, because of these, their prayers and their blessings and our endeavor and our hard work combines together, and with the teachers who can instruct us, if all these conducive factors gather together, that's which is known as the tendel, then everything is possible. And also, like, very important to understand is that when we die, most important is whatever the prominent mind during the time of the death takes over all other actions, all other residual impact, which has been stored in our mind stream, were taken over by our mind, which is so vivid and so powerful at the moment of death. This takes over. So therefore, we need to strive to visualize, to practice at that very moment. That time, whoever the mind, the powerful mind takes over, these can lead you to wherever you're going to born, and this makes the decisions. So therefore, at the moment of death, the peace of mind, the visualizations of your guru, practice loving kindness, forgiveness, compassion, these are very essential here. It works an essential point here.
所以说，我们此生当中呢，我们应该尽量行善，使到我们在死亡的那一刻呢，心能平静。我们应该记起我们的上师，我们的心应该升起菩提心、慈悲心等等。这就是为什么我们必须在此生当中多加修习。
So when we die, if we die with the mind of anger, hatred, ignorance, jealousy, and pride, and all this kind of ignorant mind, then one could able to be born in a lower state or lower realms
or the cyclical existence that is of unfortunate beings.
等等，这些呢都使到我们投身到下三道当中。
So therefore, as I said, the moment of death, the mind is very important at the moment of death, and whichever the mind, it's so prominent there, this mind takes over all other actions, and this leads to the rebirth of wherever you are being born. So therefore, while we are alive, we should practice all these kind of positive thoughts, positive mind. Practice means we familiarize with it. Then during the time of death, then it's more easier for ones to practice and visualize and realize that kind of quality. Otherwise, if we don't practice this one, then what happens at the moment of death, then we become like ignorant and we have no power, and we become like a feather which has been drifted away, and this ignorant mind becomes the driving force of the karmic residual impact of the negative thoughts and events. And we were drifted away or driven away by this driving force of this kind of negative thoughts and mind, then which will lead you into the cyclical existence. And again, we suffer endless suffering into the cycle of birth, old age, death, and so on and so forth in the realm of 6 cyclical existence.
所以死亡的那一刻呢非常重要。若是心是以三毒为主的话呢，那我们则会被牵引到下三道当中。所以便是为什么我们此生当中呢，我们尽量的多加修行，使到我们的心能正面，然后我们能观想的很容易的观想和认知实相是怎么一回事。不然呢，我们死的时候呢，因为缺乏这方面的知识，我们就是无知。当我们无知的时候呢，就很容易被夜风所吹袭。那我们只呢，有如羽毛一般被风吹来吹去，那很容易的呢，我们又堕入轮回当中，再一次的进入没有休止的生老病死。这便是为什么我们此生当中呢，应该多加修行。
And only mind which could cut our ignorant mind is the wisdom mind, that is the enlightened one. Therefore, we need to strive to get enlightenment before we die. And also up to such extent, if we have a practice, then it is of immense help during the time of death and thereafter.
所以唯有我们这颗心这个有智慧的心能剪断这个轮回所以便是说我们此生当中呢，应该尽自己所能多加修行，以便证悟。那若是我们此生当中呢有常常修行的话呢，这对我们死亡那一刻呢非常有帮助。
And sometimes people think that we can do whatever we like when we are in free, when we are in life. We can eat, we can eat, and whatever we like, we can do this. And after that, there's nothing will happen. But this is not true. After death, the residual impact will come on. The consequences will follow up. For example, even if you have, of course, your mind, there's no question for your mind, but also for your body. If you look at your body will remember the genes from your forefathers, where it comes from. Even our body will never forget our genes. Then when you talk about the mind, our mind is more powerful than that of the body, which could able to remember all this kind of impact, which has been stored, the seed or the imprints, which has been stored in our mind stream. So therefore, whatever the actions, good or bad or karmic actions or residual impact that we have stored in our mind stream, this will give consequences. This will give rise to the consequences according to its own actions. So, and unless and until it gives the fruit, this seed will never vanish. So therefore, the great master said that even the smallest of the smallest non-virtuous deeds has to be given up. And the smallest of the smallest virtuous deeds has to be accomplished. We have to do that. Because of that.
那有一些人说，觉得，我们此生当中呢，可以任意的宰杀等等，我们可以随意做我们喜欢的事，但这不正确因为说死了之后就一了百了，不是这样子的情况。当我们此生当中所作所为呢，都会在我们心事当中留下一种不灭的烙印。那我们的身体，打个比方，我们的身体呢，其实记住我们的祖先历历代代代代祖先的基因，这是我们身体的一种功能。那我们的心呢，则比这个基因呢更加强而有力，更加强大。它记住我们的业，那这业呢，不会消散。它如祖师们所说，就算是极小的业呢，当它未成果的呢之前呢，它不会自然无因而消散的。也就是因为这样子，我们必须此生当中呢，尽量的避免任何细微的错误。
So now we couldn't go for able to do the for practice today because the time is already gone. And these are the central idea of what four really means and how one could able to practice it and what is the possibility there. And we have infinite possibilities. So now I'll stop here. We'll have the question and answers. And next time we'll do for practice, active practice. If we have time, then one day we'll make time and we'll do the practice. So right now we'll have the question and answers, try to understand, if you have any doubts or anything, you just let me know.
Dear brothers and sisters, if you are too shy to ask your questions, you can post your questions on the chat box, and then we can share the question with Khenpo. For those who have actually got my WhatsApp, you can always WhatsApp me too. Thank you very much. Khenpo, there's actually one question. we know that when we are reborn at Buddha Amitabha's Pure Land, there's 9 levels of lotus birth. So if we actually go to the Pure Land via the practice of Poa, then at which level will we be reborn at?
Okay, first I think Brother Jangship Doji has to complete the Chinese translation.
Yes.
Yeah, brother, you can
Okay.
translate this one.
OK，好，谢谢上师啊。那我们做这些我们暂时没有时间做破瓦法的修行共修，但今天所讲的呢是破瓦法的主要的概念啊，它的可能性是什么？那我们有时间呢，我们改次有机会的话呢，我们再一起共修。接着呢就是问答时间。第一个问题呢是通过破瓦法，我们去到西方极乐净土。那我们知道西方极乐净土有9层，那我们有9层的莲花位。那我们通过破瓦法去到净土，我们是在哪一层的莲花出世呢？划线呢？
So okay, now the question answer to your question is that I think it depends. It depends upon how well you practice, up to which extent you could able to go. For example, if your visualization is so clear, and if your mind is so clear, then I think directly straight you go to the Buddha Amitabha Buddha, because at the moment of that time, the mind only has that moment, that vision. Then that time mind is so powerful, it can reach to the 1,000 miles, million miles, it can go. Then it has been the most powerful mind in the world that time. So therefore, if you visualize the Amitabha Buddha, it will go to the Amitabha Buddha straight there. But if you couldn't visualize well, but maybe some kind of blur or something like that, then it will be like kind of up to such certain level. Like that's why we have said, 9 levels or, something like that. Even during the time of, visualization, you couldn't visualize or you couldn't able to remember the Amitabha Buddha, rather because of your previous life, bad habits. You think about anger, you think about the jealousy, you think about the attachment, then this will lead to the other downfalls. But also for the, upper fortunate beings, depending upon how clever you are, how well familiarized you are, how practiced you are, it will go up higher and higher.
所以堪布的答案是说，这要看个人啊。那若是观想的清晰，那肯定可以去西方极乐净土。为什么呢？因为在中阴当中呢，心是非常具有力的啊，只要心能所观，就能去到那个地方。但若是我们的观想模糊不清，则会到较低的西方极乐世界的那一层。那什么情况会使到我们的观想不清晰呢？可能是因为我们此生当中或者是过去生当中的习气呢，恶的习气呢升起的时候呢，这便会阻碍我们的观想，使到我们的观想不清晰。
So, Brother James, and next
question if you have it.
All right, Khenpo, the second question. The Powa practice is a relatively long practice. So at a point in time, the critical time, what is the practice that is most important for us Powa practitioner? Because I doubt there will be time for us to complete the whole Powa practice from beginning until the end. Even the prayer to the masters, the past masters, is already such a lengthy one. So what is the most critical part that we must do at that point in order to be reborn at Buddha Amitabha's Pure Land through Powa?
So then you can visualize your mind getting out from your crown of your head, but you can visualize the Buddha Amitabha, but your mind has to be pure. Pure in the sense that you should not have in your mind anger, jealousy, pride, ignorance, attachment, and hatred. Shouldn't be there. These 5 poisons shouldn't be there. But your mind has to be abide with loving kindness, compassion, forgiveness, freedom, and wisdom, and you visualize yourself in the form of Amitabha Buddha. Actually, Amitabha Buddha is actually not other than you. Your ultimate nature of your mind is Amitabha Buddha, because the nature of your ultimate nature of your mind and the nature of Amitabha Buddha is the same, because we all have a Buddha nature, but we don't recognize that, and we suffer, and we look down upon ourselves as an individual or as a ordinary people. Then we don't recognize the potentiality of our mind. So that time, very important is just visualize the Amitabha Buddha. If you couldn't visualize all these things, doesn't matter, you visualize Amitabha Buddha, try to clear your mind and forgive and forgotten all the nonsense, garbages that you have drawn in your mind. You have to throw out all this. These garbages will hold you back from going to the Amitabha Buddha. So if your mind is clear from all these garbages, but only with the light of Amitabha Buddha, then you are there, right here, right now, you're Amitabha Buddha. Okay? Then you don't have to go anywhere. You reach there.
Brother Lukwang, you may want to translate that first.
的修行，它的念诵呢非常长。那最关键的修行是哪一个呢？就连我们祈祷上师那一段呢，都已经是非常长了。那堪布回答说，我们可以观想自身的心在自己的头顶上。那此刻呢，我们的心不应该有五毒、贪嗔痴我慢疑等等，都不应该有，应该升起慈悲心，智慧。然后我们可以观想自身为阿弥陀佛。其实我们本身是阿弥陀佛，我们的本性是跟阿弥陀佛无二无别的，只是我们不明白，我们不了解，不相信我们瞧不起自己所以我们在死亡的那时候呢，我们应该把自己的心做个清楚净化，我们应该原谅跟遗忘那些乱七八糟的东西，这些乱七八糟杂事呢，都会把我们紧紧的拖在六道当中。所以若是我们能观想自身为阿弥陀佛，我们已经 到达了净土，我们其实已经是成就了。
Okay, Khenpo. The
Yes.
third question, I think this question we can split it into 3 parts. The first part is if a person is successful in doing poa at the critical time, what happened to the karma part? Does it still stay with the individual? This is the first part. If this person at that critical time successfully conducted poa practice on himself and be reborn at Buddha Amitabha's Pure Land, so does it mean that he's already cleared of his past karma? This is the first part. The second part.
See now. Yeah, first I will answer this question first. Yeah. See, if you are being reborn in the like Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, then still the residual impact is still there in his mind stream, embedded there in a hidden form. But it was overtaken by the actions, which is most powerful. That is the most powerful action that he has created or he has in your mind stream. But at the same time, what happened is during the time of in the Buddha field, he can learn the Dharma from the Amitabha Buddha from there. Then that's how he can be enlightened. Receiving teachings directly from the Amitabha Buddha or all the bodhisattvas there, then doesn't matter whatever the problems or whatever all the consequences of the karmic residual impact that you have in a mind stream, it may be burned down. It is easy to burn down. For example, if you have it is bound to give though you have a seed of the mango, and the mango is bound to give the fruits. But somehow, if you chop down the mango trees and you burn down, what happened? The mango tree will no longer give the fruits now. In the same way, all this residual impact that one have in our mind stream has to be cut down during the time. If you are there with the Amitabha Buddha, then you could able to cut down all these residual impact, the negative thoughts and emotions. Then how you can come out from there. Is that clear?
所以这个问题，接着的问题是说，若是我们成功在中阴或者是死亡的时候，做破瓦法，投身到西方极乐的净土，那这个业又如何解释呢？这个业呢，根据堪布他所说，业还依然在的，但因为这个业呢被破瓦的修法强大有力的行动呢所遮盖，所以我们暂时能投身到西方极乐净土，能闻法修法，最终证悟。在净土当中呢，我们直接聆听佛的教法和菩萨们的指导，那很容易的呢，把这个业的种子呢烧掉。那比如说我们有一个芒果，那芒果的种子呢，它毕竟会生出芒果树，结芒果的果。但若是这个芒果的籽呢，我们把它烧了，那它就没有那个成为果的因缘了。所以若是我们能去到西方极乐净土呢，通过 这些教导修行，我们很容易的呢，能把这些剩余的业呢，消融掉。
Okay, part 2, Khenpo. I think you already partly answered it, but I'll still go through this part first. How is it possible that POA is able to actually override even heavy karmic debts, like the killing of people in a war, or even the killing of own parents, that requires immediate karmic retribution? How is it possible?
So, see, as I said in the beginning, everything is possible. In the Vajrayana tradition, everything is possible because why? It's emptiness. And see here, like, and Buddha, it's the Buddha. Now they can have like the path for each and all sentient beings. They see clearly how to eradicate, how to overcome the problems. Otherwise, if you couldn't able to overcome the problem, then Buddha is no longer a Buddha. That's why Buddha could able to give the instructions to whichever way. Doesn't matter how enormous, how grave the problem it is. There's a way out. Buddha can teach us. Buddha can give some guidance, teachings, and to lead us out of that problem. So these 4 teachings is one of the teaching.
那师兄说到，第二个问题呢，其实甘普跟他已经在某个程度上已经回答了，但他依然就为那位师兄说出这个问题。那这个问题就是说，破瓦是怎么可以超越极大的业呢？如我们的业债，如杀害父母等等，这些是无间罪，是直接堕入地狱的一种一种罪行。那堪布回答到说，如我们开头所说的，一切都是可以的，因为一切都是空的。佛陀智者们呢，他们能依不同的有情所需，他们各自的情况而指导不同的道路。因这些指导呢，把种种的困难解决掉、化解掉。无论问题是多么的大，佛陀他毕竟是不上的智者，他能给予指导，使到我们能解决问题。破瓦法并是其中一个例子。
Okay, the last part to the question. So the POA practice is such a powerful practice, but still, will this past bad karma make it very hard for them to actually successfully complete a POA practice at that critical time? Or there will not be any difference between one who is actually having a lesser amount of bad karma. So,
this one, it depends. Even sometimes, we have never seen the past and the past of the past. There are many past lifetimes we have been continued. And it also, like, for example, in this lifetime, if you have a grave mistakes, but somehow, if you have a connections in the past life, you might have a very good, many good life, many good karmic relations, karmic actions, because these all add up together. Then only you could able to meet with this technique, the teachings. Otherwise, very difficult to click with this kind of teachings. So therefore, like even in this lifetime, doesn't matter. It seems to be you created a grave mistake, but who knows, in the past, you might have done a very good actions. And this all comes together. And it comes, your karmic is ripening now to meet with the such teachings, such techniques, and it's a skillful methods how you can come out and how you can overcome the problems.
Brother Lukwang.
Is it there?
那最后问题的最后一部分呢，是提到说，破瓦法是一个强而有力的修行啊，一个强迫性的修行啊。但过去的业跟这个修行是怎么一回事呢？他们的相互的影响是怎么样的呢？我们不能了知我们自身的过去，知道这些事情，但我们过去世当中呢，可能造了非常好的业，在今世当中呢，遇到这个法门，那通过修行这法门呢，就算是我们今世当中呢，有造了极大的错误，那也通过这个法门呢，能得到解脱。
Okay, Khenpo. The next question. With the Powa practice, the aperture of our crown can be opened with the help of a master's blessing or through our own practice. So will this aperture, which is open, close itself up through time? And if it will be closed up, what could possibly be the cause? And is our mental obscuration the cause for the aperture to close up?
So you mean like during the practice of the Powa?
Yes.
And the people who are still alive practicing this one, you mean?
Okay, Khenpo, the question is, with the practice of Powa, the aperture of a crown can be opened with the help of a master's blessing or our own practices. So will this aperture that is opened up through time close up again? And if yes, what is the cause for it to close up? Is our mental obscuration one of the causes that will close it up?
Of course, a mental obscuration, yes. See, now when you are like opening up your like a crown chakra, wherever your mind goes there, that becomes the most sensational parts. For example, if your mind goes here, so therefore, when people are dying, we are advised not to touch anywhere. Just take out one hair from the crown of the head, or just hit by the vajra on the head, then we perform the like kind of foa or the bardotidal or whatever. The reason why is we are drawing the attention of that person towards here, the crown chakra, to open up, and from there the mind can exit. And also it shows from where the mind exits, it shows that the person is going to which realms or which states. It shows this one. So therefore, of course, definitely it is our mind. Mind is the forerunner, and the mind is the primary factor here. It works about.
Of course, if you have a like deluded mind, then deluded mind usually have this kind of all this kind of nonsense, like attachment, hatred, anger, jealousy, and pride. Then what happened? Then it will definitely lead us to the wrong direction. Of course, no question. Deluded mind is the one which can, obstruct us from the opening the mind, opening the aperture, and whatever. Yeah.
Brother Lu Kuang.
孔是通过上师们的加持和我们自身的修行，但这个孔叫孔呢，它会关吗？是什么情况之下它关呢？是什么理由呢？是我们的障吗？我们的心是障吗？障碍吗？康布的回答是说那肯定是我们的心的障碍我们心事的障碍业障那当一个人死的时候呢，根据这个教导呢，我们是会在他的头顶拔他的头，是把金刚杵在他的头上轻轻敲。为什么要这样子做呢？这是引导那个心往这个方向，使到他能投入较好的道当中。那所以说对的，心是一切的主宰。若是心混淆迷乱执着于贪嗔痴，那就会被引入下三道当中。
Khenpo, the next question. My main practice is chanting Buddha Amitabha. I've got this good opportunity to pick up the Poa practice recently, but I'm afraid that at a critical time, it may actually cause me to have a little bit of a confusion as to what to do. The Poa practice or the chanting of the Buddha Amitabha's name. Will these two practices contradict each other?
Actually, see, it doesn't contradict anything. This all becomes complementary to each other. But for a beginners, sometimes people confused, and you can't able to do you can't even to do the one also. Even you cannot do the one. So these kind of people, you can do only one. Yeah, if you could able to do them both, even 3, 4, doesn't matter. Whatever the practice is there, more there, it adds up to your complementary, supplementary. But if you couldn't do that, better we stick on one and go after, easily, slowly, and all this. And it depends upon how much you could digest. That's it.
Brother Lu Kuang. We just lose Brother Lu Kuang. Maybe we just give him a minute or two. He should be coming back to us soon.
Okay.
好，对不起，我的网络刚才断线。好，我再重复一下。师兄的问题是说，我的主修是念佛，念阿弥陀佛。最近有幸遇上了破瓦法，但我担心在最紧要的时刻呢，我会产生混乱，导致不好的结果。那堪布回答说，其实这两种修法呢，并没有互相抵触，那因人而异若是一些初学者呢，可能连某一个修法呢都不能好好的修行。若是我们可以修一门法，修得好的话呢，那修这门法就够了。那若是已经熟练了一个法门，然后在这前提之上呢，又在修炼一个法门，当然不会有抵触没有互相抵触的这个情况出现所以能修可以修多一些。若是真还没达到某个成果的话呢，那修行一个够了。
Khenpo, the next question, we come back to the question on the aperture at the crown again.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it common that after the aperture is open, that it bleeds when we practice the poa?
See, different people have a different kind of like kind of signs. Some people they have a blood. Some said it comes like a buzz. Some they comes like a wind, and sometimes people feel like shooting out an arrow from there, from the crown, and the wind, like a wind hold, wind passing through, like when you're blowing the wind, how it happens. Like this different kind of feelings. People have different feelings. Yeah. Not all same.
So actually the bleeding part is normal. There's no need to worry.
Yes. Bleeding part is the kind of normal because and also we see, our whole body is actually the whole. All have a body, our part is the whole. But once it opens up, normally, the blood is coming there. When you cut it, it's kind of, when it breaks it open or when it cut it, normally, the blood will come. So therefore, I think most people have the blood coming
Okay.
这里的问题是说，我们修破瓦法的，这里说到我们修行破瓦法的时候，我们的顶门呢可能会有出现小孔，然后修破瓦法的时候呢，可能会流血，这是正常的吗？那堪布的回答是说，不同人有不同的修行瑞相，成果瑞相。那有些人呢是在这个顶门凡穴那边呢会流血，在这个小孔那边呢出血少量的血。那有些人则是觉得那个地方呢顶门上呢好像是有风吹动，有些人则是觉得箭射出一般有那种感觉。总之就是不同人有不同的瑞相。那所以说流血是其中一个是正常的。那人体当中呢，其实我们有许多小小的孔，所以很自然的，当这个顶门上有孔的时候，血是会流的
Khenpo, this next question is on the chanting of Amitabha Buddha's mantra. So if our main practice is the chanting of the mantra, so do we visualize Amitabha in front of us? Or do we actually visualize Buddha Amitabha as ourselves and then continue the chant?
Yes, actually, see, this is very important. When you chant the Amitabha Buddha mantra, we visualize Amitabha Buddha in front of us. This is actually, as I said, it's just a diagram, architectural design. But the actual Amitabha Buddha is within us, our mind. So in the Amitabha mantra, Om Ami Devashi, there are 4 words coming there. And Amitabha. Amitabha means 4 words. These 4 words indicates the light, that is the light of love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. So now when you visualize Amitabha in front of you, but actual Amitabha is love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. These 4, one need to read it, we need to feel this beauty, these qualities of the Amitabha Buddha. And we all sentient beings have this quality, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. If you remain in this state, love, joy, compassion, and equanimity, and try to extend like a light, extending towards the whole universe, not just the world, but towards the whole universe, touching the all sentient beings. So this is how one could visualize the Amitabha Buddha. Actually, it's just a diagram showing, Amitabha Buddha in red form, because the red light. But actually we have to awaken the light within ourselves, that is loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, and share this light to all sentient beings, your love, because we are always exchanging energy with the whole universe, no matter how far. For example, we have a sun and we are connected. How do we know we are connected? We feel the warmness of the sun. That means we are connected up to that far. But energy, the power of our mind, energy, is 1,000,000 times more powerful than that of the sun. That means our mind is Buddha, Amitabha itself. But we don't recognize that. So now when you practice Amitabha Buddha chanting, you visualize first the image of the Amitabha Buddha, then you apply this image to yourself and try to awaken, arouse, flower the loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And you flower these things, all this quality, and extend to the whole universe. Then just imagine how happy you would be, how joyful you would be, how blissful you would be, because you're sharing your inner quality. That is the Amitabha quality. So this is how one should practice. Right here, right now, if you do this practice, then just imagine how blissful you would be. And you are Amitabha Buddha. But it depends upon how well you can extend your heart. Sometimes people are saying, how could that be possible for a little guy here to extend your heart? But as I said, our mind is of immense power. Whatever the physical things, just the reflections of our mind. Therefore, our mind is the forerunner
and so powerful that it can be extended to its whole universe. Not only the world, but see, just imagine all the sentient beings stay in the world, and also sentient beings in the space, and also all the sentient beings in the universe. And the universe, when we talk about the universe, it is the space, beyond space, whole space. You are extending your heart towards the whole universe with loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. The qualities of the Amitabha Buddha. Got it?
Thank you, Khenpo.
这里的问题我们念阿弥陀佛的心咒的时候呢，是观想阿弥陀佛在我们前方呢，还是我们观想我们自身为阿弥陀佛？然后堪布这样子的回答啊，这非常重要。那我们念这个心咒的时候呢，我们观想阿弥陀佛在我们的前方，这好比是一个设计图般啊。我们根据这个设计呢去修行，那我们就念唵嘛咪喋哇时的心咒，代表了是阿弥陀佛的光，这光是代表了爱、慈心、喜心跟平等心。当我们观想阿弥陀佛在前方的时候呢，但真正的佛呢是这4种心啊。如果说我们可以在这种状态下保持着呢，并把这个光，这个红光呢投射到整个宇宙的话呢，那便是我们该做的。对，这个
is that the Ami means infinite lights. Infinite lights, that means when you extend your light, your heart, your mind, that means you're extending to the infinite universe, which is beyond our imagination.
那
So they're like kind of 4 words which represents the 4 quality of the Amitabha Buddha, that is loving kindness, compassion.
所以我们这个观想呢，只是一种引导，使到我们能升起这4种心，然后我们就观想我们这光呢的宇宙的所有万物跟有情呢分享。其实我们时时刻刻都跟我们的周遭交换我们的能量。太阳是非常强烈的它具有很大的能量，但我们的心它的能量呢，其实超越太阳的能量千万倍。那当我们这样子的观想，把这4种心呢散播到整个宇宙的这是多么的美好。在此刻此时要是我们能这样子的观想，我们就已经是阿弥陀佛。那这边补充一下，阿弥陀佛，阿弥这个字呢，其实是无量光的意思，也就是指我们的心无量的延伸到的每一个角落。
Khenpo,
Yes.
one last question.
Okay.
Quite an interesting one. The best time to do the powa, if I hear you correctly, is when the 5 elements are dissolving itself. So we miss that. By theory, we have 49 days. Does it mean that the full 49 days, we have still got opportunity to do powa? Or it's gone at a certain point in time? What is this point in time then?
see, if you miss this point, then again, the state of Bardo, you could able to visualize yourself as the deities. And as I said, then you can go to the, like Amitabha Pure Land and so on and so forth to practice. This is known as the Sambhogakaya Bardo. So you visualize yourself, if when you are in a human being, you can practice, all these things. If you practice all these visualizations of the completion stage and generation stage and all this, if you are very good, then during the Bardo state, even if you miss the four, and even if you miss the luminosity of the mind, that is the inner dissolutions there, the three appearances. Even if you miss this one, the three appearances, after the three appearances, there comes a luminosity, clear light. That is the split-second chance to attain enlightenment. That is known as the Dharmakaya. But even if you miss this one, then in the Bardo, you can do the Sambhogakaya practice. That is, you visualize yourself as the Avalokiteshvara, or you visualize yourself as the Amitabha Buddha, as I said. And this, you can enjoy this one. And you can go on and practice. And this is known as the Sambhogakaya. So this could happen for the 49 days. You can practice this one for 49 days, one after the another, if you skip one after the another. Because even during the 49 days, it's not exactly the same for all the person. It's not the same. It's not true for all the person. Because sometimes people take rebirth within 7 days. They can within after 14 days. So that's why we have a 7 days. After 7 days we have puja, and the 14 days we have puja, 21 days we have puja, and so on and so forth. Every 7 days, this person takes rebirth either in the Bardo or out of Bardo. Sometimes they go out of Bardo. That means they take rebirth in like kind of animal form or whatever, like hell beings or whatever. And so when you are taking rebirth, also when you are aware and when you are with the wisdom mind, when you are enlightened there, then you can choose your rebirth, where to choose the rebirth. And it's all detailed stated in the Bardo Saldet, in the Bardo instructions, that when you are there to take refuge under the tree or under the cave or something like that, then this is known as you're taking like rebirth to the hell beings or hungry ghosts or something like that. And also when you see something attached, you're attached to some kind of house or beautiful house or beautiful trees or something like that, then you are going to take rebirth in the god realm or demigod or human being or whatever. And so this one we can, if you are realized, then you can choose this where to be born. You can choose so this is known as the Nirmanakaya form of the Bardo. So these kind of states are there. Even if you skip one, then there's another chance. And if you skip that one, then there's one chance. But somehow, if you are not aware, if you are ignorant, doesn't matter how much it changes, you would never know. So therefore, awareness is more important. Even if you see, for right after the death, we couldn't remember. What happened is when we die, we lost our conscious. Only the enlightened person, only the higher practitioners or higher degree of practice, experienced practitioners, they could able to realize and able to remember, oh, now I'm dead. I have to do this and that and all this, and the process goes on. So therefore, we need to strive for this kind of alertness, awareness, and so on, and go on to our, So then after that, there's a lot of possibilities. So therefore, it is known as life after death.
Thank you very much, Khenpo. We have come
Okay.
to the end of question and answer for this last lesson of life after death. For your information, brother and sisters, actually Khenpo has got an intention to have one more addition.
我快快的讲一下。那在我们五大消融之后，在49天之内呢，还可以做破法呢。在堪布的回答当中，他讲到说，若是我们在这个五大消融的时候错过了明光，那一刻没有能成就法身的时候呢，我们就会进入中阴当中。那在中阴当中，我们可以观想本尊，那我们依然可以去到净土。那当时呢，我们就成就了报身。我们的观想呢，可以是阿弥陀佛，或者是其他的本尊，如观音等等。那在49天当中呢，不同人有不同的遭遇他们有一些呢，可能是在少过49天内，甚至7天之内都溜到当中。所以说每个7天呢，照这个当称的传统来说呢，每个7天呢都会做超度法。那所以说我们这一生当中呢，就要抓紧机会修行，使到我们有一个觉知。这个觉知提升的话呢，我们可以在中阴当中呢，选择我们投身的处，达到报应化身所以这个只有具有修行的人，才在中阴当中呢，依然能保持着觉知的状态。
Thank you very much, Brother Lukwang. Yes, I was saying that initially, Khenpo has actually got a wish to have another session. And in this additional session, Khenpo would like to go through with all of us the Poa text and some of the relevant.
堪布他有计划说有另外一个课，但这个还未肯定。
Actually, the main reason is because currently Khenpo has actually got some personal things to settle, and he may need a week or two to actually have them resolved. So what is actually not confirmed is the timing of this other session. This we will share with all of you when the timing is confirmed. So please look out for our notices on Facebook, etc.
那可能在1-2个星期之内呢，还未能决定下一堂课的日期时间。当这件事解决了之后呢，我们有一个。
So we stop here, James.
Yes, thank you so much for your wonderful lesson on life after death, Khenpo.
So we do dedication now.
Yes, please, Khenpo.
Okay. Emma was a zanjir no the Dayazo to Jimbo Diason, to Namla Sanjations and Bamekuri, digging was about the in the watching Shingum the Dashin, so we mother give watching you the major. The Rogan and Bajado to get a gimbal Taba introduce and Johnson game to Basing. The Bunza Drea Budana so Salam de Misavan to me, Kevana Jimbala. Sibizole Doa Devra
파마심제 담배던 데 주진으로 담배도 마시죠. 선바 가마스. 데다 공기 말람도 주로지.
Brothers and
Okay.
sisters, please unmute yourself to thank Khenpo personally. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Khenpo. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you, Khenpo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Khenpo. Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, good night.
Thank you so much.
Good night. Good night.
Take care.
Thank you, James.
Thank you so much, Cambola. 谢谢法体安康。
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
You can leave your
Thank you,
questions
Khenpo. Thank you
here.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Take care. And all the best.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Yes.
Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. Please look out for the
Cindy.
next lesson. Thank you. Goodbye.